This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. The Fragrance Pavilion was the tallest viewing pavilion in Songyue City. It had a panoramic view of the entire city and was the property of the Four Extremes sect. It was a good place to play the flute, play the zither, recite poetry, and paint. Tang Xian liked this kind of view very much and the feeling of having the world in her heart. I've spread Yunxiao's identity throughout Songyue City according to Young Master's order. Now, they have revealed their true colors, and the Empyrean One Pavilion has also communicated with Myriad Treasures Store, and they are ready to attack Tianyuan Trading Company. On the top floor of the Fragrance Pavilion, Tang Xian was boiling water and making tea. He listened to the report of Hidden Dragon behind him and smiled with satisfaction. Will he become a chess player and appear in the game of chess with an identity that I think highly of, or will he be a clown and be destroyed after a few jumps? Let's see if he can survive this test. Hidden Dragon's body was completely covered in a black robe. He said in a deep voice, "This Li Yunxiao seems to have some background." Two titled martial sovereigns came to Yanwu that day, and as far as I know, even people from the Holy Region went there. Young Master, you must not underestimate him. Tang Xian didn't take it seriously. The spring water boiled and soaked in the fresh tea leaves, giving off a touch of fragrance. What happened in Yanwu is related to the collapse of Mount Meru, one of the four great celestial realms. Naturally, it will trigger the sacred zone. As for the arrival of the two titled martial sovereigns, there are many secrets behind it. Let's not make wild guesses lest we mess up our plans. But in any case, in Songyue City, I don't care who Li Yunxiao is, whether he's a dragon or a tiger, he has to lie down for me. Hidden Dragon nodded and said, he's just the lord of a city in the southern region. I don't think he can make any waves. The invitation has been sent. Now that Yunxiao's identity has been exposed, I'm afraid they might not even dare to come. I'm sorry, Tang Xian said with a smile. If he doesn't dare to come, I'll be disappointed. By Yunka, who is worthy of being called an uncle in the ancient times. Listen to the fragrance, boil water, drink tea, and flip the palm of a stormy sea. Hearing the laughter and poetry coming from outside the pavilion, the space twisted and two men slowly appeared. They walked in the air, and waves spread out under their feet, like the waves of a calm lake being blown. The two of them slowly walked into the building, and Yunxiao sat down without any hesitation. He took the tea made by Tang Xian and drank it in one gulp, then smiled and said, "Young Master Tang Xian, you're overthinking." Tang Xian was taken aback and carefully looked at the two men. Yunxiao and Mo Xiaochuan's demeanor was extraordinary, and there was a faint celestial air about them, which made him look a little dwarfed. A trace of displeasure appeared on Tang Xian's face, and he said coldly, "One move, raging waves flipping palm, what a powerful bull's skin. Comparing yourself to me, you're overestimating yourself." Yunxiao chuckled. Tang Xian, I'm just trying to make you proud. If you don't want it, I don't mind putting you under my palm. Tang Xian was taken aback. Looking at Yunxiao's free and easy look, he found that he did not seem to be joking, nor did he look like a brainless retard. However, how could anyone with a little bit of rationality say such shameless words in front of him? He was stunned for a while before he laughed. A mere native from the southern mountain range dares to criticize the country in front of me. It's a joke. I'd like to see how you're going to suppress me with a flip of your palm. His words grew colder and colder, and the atmosphere in the pavilion gradually became more and more tense. A sharp gleam flickered in Yunxiao's eyes as he said with a smile, "It seems that strength speaks the loudest. Since you want to be beaten, I have no reason not to fulfill your cheap request." Yunxiao gently patted the table, and the boiling water immediately shot into the air. It spread out but did not spill. Instead, it slowly condensed and turned into a mini water dragon, roaring and biting at Tang Xian. It's just a small trick. A mere one-star martial emperor is no different from an ant in front of me. Tang Xian threw a cold punch into the water dragon, which immediately broke into a pool of tea. What? Tang Xian was slightly surprised. The tea that had been shattered into a dragon shape by him not only didn't dissipate in the air, but it rotated in the air and gradually expanded, becoming bright like a film opening. Finally, it formed a water ball that was going to surround him. Although Hidden Dragon's expression could not be seen clearly, a divine light flashed across his black robe, and he seemed to be extremely surprised. Interesting, but a technique is still a technique. Don't you know that one man can overcome 10 men? Tang Xian snorted coldly, as if he was very upset that he couldn't break her opponent's technique with one move. A green light appeared in her hand, and a small white ball emitting a soft light appeared in his palm. It suddenly turned into thousands of needles and scattered in all directions. The ball of tea was finally riddled with holes and began to spill out unnaturally. Yunxiao chuckled and gently knocked his fingers on the table. The tea, which had lost all its spirit energy, seemed to gain strength again. It condensed into a water phoenix in the air and flew up again. Tang Xian was furious and shouted, "Are you done?" A ball of flame suddenly burst out of his hand and condensed into a fire fist, which he threw at the water phoenix. Heat waves rippled over the fragrance pavilion, and the pot of tea was finally completely evaporated, no longer existing. Tang Xian, I'm just playing with you. Do you need to be angry? It's a pity that this pot of good water can't be drunk. Yunxiao chuckled, and his casual look shocked Tang Xian. Wasn't the attitude of smiling at the wind and clouds, pointing out the country, and casually toying with the opponent what he had always pursued? It should have appeared in him, but why did he see it in the other party's figure, and he became the one being toyed with? Tang Xian was secretly angry that she was suddenly at a disadvantage in the contest of demeanor, but he also restrained her contempt and her face became a little gloomy. I want to see you, Yunxiao said faintly. I don't want to beat you, but to cooperate with you. Tang Xian laughed. You're just a native of the southern region. What qualifications do you have to talk about cooperation with me? The southern mountain range had always been known as a place where even birds would not take a shit. All the major forces had never been too lazy to set foot there. For tens of thousands of years, no one had heard of any experts coming from the southern mountain range. Therefore, the martial artists of the southern mountain range were often ridiculed as natives. Yunxiao looked at him as if he were a fool and sneered. I'm giving you face by saying that we'll cooperate, but to be frank, I'm asking you to do it. As for qualifications, it seems that someone intentionally destroyed the teleportation array back in Yufeng City to prevent Li Feiyu from returning to Songyue City. I happen to have some evidence in my hands. Oh, there's such a thing? How come I didn't know about this? Tang Xian directly pretended to be stupid and said coldly, Are you threatening me? How credible do you think your evidence is, and will Myriad Treasure Store make things difficult for me because of your little evidence? Yunxiao stretched out 2 fingers unhurriedly and said, Second, are you interested in Tang Jie's experience in the Demon's Land? Tang Xian's heart trembled, her eyes narrowed slightly, and she said coldly, What does his business have to do with me? Do you think I have to worry about how my good-for-nothing big brother disgraces himself outside? Yunxiao chuckled and said, Tang Xian, who is known as the wisest person among the younger generation in the Merchant Union, is really an undeserved reputation. I thought that it would be easier for smart people to speak, but it seems that I found the wrong person. You have no right to cooperate with me. Yunxiao stood up and was about to leave, but Tang Xian's face changed and she said angrily, I haven't finished my words, how can I allow you to come and go as you please? Hidden Dragon's figure moved and immediately a black chi began to circle around the fragrance-listening pavilion. The bright and sunny building suddenly became chilly. Mo Xiaochuan's expression changed, and a rare look of solemnity appeared on his face. He seemed to be very afraid of the hidden dragon. The bones of his right hand cracked as he clenched his fist, and a powerful sword chi emanated from his right hand. The sword chi's pressure radiated out from the building and pressed against the black chi. A huge spiritual energy fluctuation enveloped the area. Tang Xian looked at Mo Xiaochuan in surprise, and an armor vaguely appeared on her body to protect him from the impact of the secret battle between the two. Yunxiao, however, remained calm and composed in the huge fluctuation of spirit energy. Tang Xian, I had too high expectations of you before, so I'm very disappointed now. If you're still so stupid, then you'll be the next one to be eliminated. Tang Xian's face was extremely ugly, and his eyes were flickering as if he was struggling. He raised his hand to signal Hidden Dragon to stop and gritted his teeth. Li Yunxiao, I was a little rude just now. How about I have someone make some more fragrant tea and let's talk again? Yunxiao chuckled and said lightly, I'll give you one more chance. You'd better not disappoint me. Tang Xian suddenly felt a sense of powerlessness in her heart. This was a situation that he had never been in for so many years. He was always the one scheming against others, but he had never been schemed to death by others. Yunxiao's words had hit the biggest doubt and hidden danger in his heart, which was what had happened to Tang Jia during his trip to the soft song woodland. He could not find out anything no matter what. The heavy atmosphere gradually eased, and a pot of spring water was soon boiled again. The fragrant tea leaves were gradually brewed, and Yunxiao drank it very comfortably. Li Yunxiao, Tang Xian said with a gloomy face, what on earth did Tang Jia experience in the demon plane? I've also found out that you were also in the demon land at that time, and you seem to have experienced the entire process. It's nothing, Yunxiao said with a smile. It's similar to the rumors outside. It's about Noah's ship. What? Tang Xian was shocked, and even Hidden Dragon's body trembled. The flashing eyes in the black robe showed that it was extremely difficult for him to calm down. Tang Xian's face was so ugly that water was about to drip out, and he said word by word, then Noah's ship really appeared? Who has it now? Yunxiao took a few sips of tea slowly before he put down the teacup. His leisurely look made Tang Xian want to cut him off with a knife. Hold on. Someone is eavesdropping. Hidden Dragon suddenly shouted. His skinny arm pointed out of the building, and a cold light cut a black line in the space. It frighteningly cut the space hundreds of meters away. The surrounding space collapsed toward the isolation area, and the entire fragrance pavilion tilted in an instant. Bang! A crisp sound reverberated through the air as Hidden Dragon's spatial rend was blocked. It was followed by a constant buzzing sound, as if some kind of profound level weapon had been shaken by the attack. It kept making a vibrating sound, which was so loud that it made people's ears ring. At the front of the black crack, an object appeared in the space. It was shaking continuously. Everyone's eyes narrowed. It was a gold coin. What surprised everyone even more was that the gold coin was the most ordinary and real gold coin, not some profound level weapon. To be able to use a gold coin to block Hidden Dragon's attack, it was clear that this person was extremely powerful. The gold coin was bent and buzzing from the impact. A man's arm appeared out of thin air, and with 2 fingers, he grabbed the coin. It stopped the trembling of the coin, and the man said, this gold coin can buy a lot of tea eggs. Who will compensate me? The air twisted and swayed faintly, and 2 figures stepped out from it one after another. The man with the gold coin in his hand followed behind, wailing as he held the gold coin. Third uncle, stop it. Don't let them laugh at us. The person in the lead had an imposing appearance as he reprimanded. He looked over from a distance, ignoring Tang Xian and fixing his eyes on Yunxiao. With a provocative look, he said coldly, we meet again, Li Yunxiao. Tang Xian's pupils shrank and he looked at the stranger. He was shocked and said, revered martial artist. Qian Wudi, it's said that you obtained a 7-constellation realm Dao fruit in the demon plains. So it's true, and you actually broke through a major realm in one go. Tang Xian's gloomy feeling of being ignored by Qian Wudi was immediately swept away after seeing the other party's cultivation, and his eyes showed a heavy look. The person who came was Qian Wudi, and his aura was completely different from before. He snorted and laughed, it was all thanks to Li Yunxiao's help. It's just a small matter. His gaze also became sharp as he said, but what I regret the most is that I directly retreated from the demon's land, so I missed the birth of Noah's ship. Li Yunxiao, I'm also very interested to know what the situation was like at that time. The words Noah's ship seemed to be filled with endless magic, making everyone in the fragrance pavilion look serious and nervous. You still owe me 1.1 billion medial grade primordial stones, Yunxiao said with a smile. If you want to hear a story, you'll have to pay up first. Qianwudi's face flashed with pain, but he remembered that he had relied on the Tao fruit of the 7 constellations to comprehend all the martial intent of the martial royal realm. With the accumulation of a large number of natural treasures, he had directly reached the peak of the martial royal realm. Then, the experts in the sect had joined forces to enlighten him and open up the path to the martial honored realm. In this case, Yunxiao's contribution to the Tao fruit of the 7 constellations was great, and the 1.1 billion mid-grade primordial stones were indeed worth it. With that in mind, Qianwudi had nothing to be stingy about. He took out a storage bag and threw it to Yunxiao. 1.1 billion mid-grade origin stones. A trace of envy flashed in Tang Xian's eyes, and she snorted, Brother Wudi, 1.1 billion mid-grade primordial stones for a 7 constellation Tao fruit. You've really struck it rich. Qianwudi ignored him and said coldly to Yunxiao, cut the crap. What's with that Noah's ship? Tang Xian was rejected and ignored again. He suddenly felt extremely ashamed and sullen, and said angrily, Qianwudi, don't think that you can be so arrogant just because you have advanced to martial honor. You are just a mere 1-star martial honor, let alone me. Even my good-for-nothing big brother can easily kill you. Qianwudi looked at him with disdain. He claims to be the best at stratagems, but in our eyes, he's just a jumping clown and an evil person. Only by constantly increasing his own strength and charging towards the peak of the martial Tao was the correct path that would never change. On this point, you're far worse than Tang Jia. You coward. Anger appeared on Tang Xian's face, but he forcibly suppressed his anger and said coldly, good, good. Qianwudi, I, Tang Xian, will remember what you said today. You will see the consequences in the future. Tisk. With a disdainful look on his face, Qianwudi ignored him and turned to Yunxiao, speak. Tell me everything you know in detail, in full detail. Yunxiao smiled as he watched the two argue, then said, it seems that the two of you really want to know. Qianwudi and Tang Xian both frowned. They didn't know what he meant, but they nodded. Very good. Yunxiao clapped his hands and laughed. Since you all need my help, it'll be easy. Qianwudi was stunned, his face turning green as he sneered, I knew you wouldn't be so easy to talk to. What do you mean I need your help? Do you think you can leave this place alive if you don't make things clear today? As his words turned cold, the atmosphere in the pavilion became tense again, as if a fight was about to break out at any moment. Yunxiao took a sip of tea and said with a smile, Brother Wudi, young Master Tang Xian was as hot-tempered as you just now. Let's sit down and have some tea to cool down. As for whether I can leave this place, you don't have to worry about that. Instead, I'm worried about Tang Jia's current situation. Both of you are extremely ambitious people, so don't be eliminated unknowingly. Qianwudi said coldly, no matter what you say, don't even think about getting any benefits from me. I'm just asking you, did Tang Jia get Noah's ship? Yunxiao looked displeased, and the tea in his hand immediately cooled. Brother Wudi, it seems that our little friends can no longer have fun together. Let's not talk about this matter. Goodbye. You can play with Tang Xian with this trick. Any trick is useless in front of me. Qianwudi spread out the power of his domain, and with a flash of golden light in his hand, he formed a seal and threw it at Yunxiao. Li Yunxiao, I'm also very curious about what level you've reached, and whether you're still qualified to fight me. Qianwudi's sudden attack caused the situation to become tense. However, his third uncle behind him was still playing with the curved gold coin. From time to time, he would glare at Hidden Dragon, blaming him for destroying his own coin. Meanwhile, Mo Xiaochuan stood coldly in the air. He even stepped back to give them space to make a move. As long as the martial emperor powerhouses did not make a move, there was no need for him to make a move. Tang Xian was even more excited to watch the show. He retreated to the side and observed carefully, hoping to find out the true strength of the two. Yunxiao's expression remained unchanged, as calm as ever. He did not care about Qianwudi's seal, and with a flip of his palm, he gathered the wind and clouds to block the power of the seal. Tang Xian's pupils constricted. Yunxiao's one-star martial emperor cultivation base had actually surpassed a major realm to suppress his opponent, which shocked him greatly. Not only him, even third uncle, who seemed to have nothing to do with Hidden Dragon, was attracted by this. Qianwudi naturally knew Yunxiao's power, so he was not surprised at all. He snorted heavily and changed his hand seal. Under his control, the golden light condensed into a blade beam and cut through Yunxiao's wind and cloud palm. Yunxiao was still calm and composed. He made a few strange gestures with his hands and gently clenched 2 fingers to catch the saber beam. At that moment, the faces of Third Uncle and Hidden Dragon changed drastically. The power of the laws of heaven and earth had vaguely flowed under Yunxiao's 2 fingers. Although it was weak, it could not escape their eyes, and they were shocked. Qianwudi was also shocked. He had thought that he would be able to suppress Yunxiao after advancing to martial honor, but now he found that the power of the domain had no effect on him. Instead, the force between Yunxiao's 2 fingers made his heart palpitate. Retreat. Damn it! Qianwudi scolded in a low voice, and the saber beam instantly turned invisible and vanished under Yunxiao's fingers. I didn't expect that your strength would still impress me after we parted at Mount Meru. Naturally, he was unable to suppress his opponent in an instant, so there was no need to continue this battle. Qianwudi was also clear that unless he used up all his trump cards, it would be very difficult to suppress his opponent. He wasn't even sure if he could suppress his opponent if he used all his strength. More importantly, he didn't want to reveal his strength. So, can we have a good talk? Yunxiao laughed. Qianwudi nodded and recited, "You've already proven that you have the qualifications. Tell us, how do you want to extort us? As long as it's not too outrageous, we'll do as you wish." These words were said in an extremely carefree manner, but it also made people who heard it feel very strange, making people frown. Yunxiao said with a wry smile, "Brother Wudi, you don't have a conscience. The benefits that the Tao fruit of the 7 constellations brings you far exceed the value of what you have paid, and this time is no exception. The inside information I know will also bring you far more benefits than what you have paid." Seeing that the fight had stopped, Tang Xian couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. He sighed and said, "Let's just be direct. Does young Master Yun like to talk nonsense?" Yunxiao chuckled and said, "Well, the conditions are very simple. Since you're already aware of my identity, you should also know my stance. I'll definitely protect Tianyuan Trading Company. But because you've announced my identity, Tianyuan Trading Company is now in the eye of the storm. You two must help me solve this matter." Tang Xian frowned. "It's your own misdeeds that caused the current crisis of Tianyuan Trading Company. What does it have to do with me? Don't use this to blame me." Yunxiao gently tapped the table and said with a faint smile, "It's no longer important how the current crisis is caused. What's important is how to solve it. This is what you need to do in exchange for Tang Jie's information." "Impossible." Qianwudi coldly spat out these 3 words and mocked, "Tianyuan Trading Company is now facing the revenge of Tiani Pavilion, and it has the tacit approval of Myriad Treasure Store, which is almost the attitude and stance of the entire merchant union. If we show up, the whole merchant union will be completely divided into 2 distinct factions, which will deepen the internal conflicts of the merchant union. The consequences will be hard to predict.